another episode of The Mom's View. My name is Alli Trippy and I'm guest hosting today. I'm so excited. And today we have Ginger from Jingerrific and Famdamly. How are you?
Good.
Represent Team Idaho.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to sit out on that one.
Sorry, Alli.
You're fine. Okay, so the topic for today is babysitting. So, you know what? Let's talk about this. What do you think makes a good babysitter? What is your experience with that?
Someone who actually watches the kids.
Okay.
Well, I actually like babysitters who get really involved with them instead of just like, you know, just puts out fires, I guess. Well, I hope there's no fires.
I'm like, not actual fires.
Yeah, that would be a good babysitter who puts out a fire.
They just put out fires. I mean, babysitters do more than just like keep the kids safe.
Right.
Like, I think it's fun when they have games planned. Like, I'm always impressed when a babysitter has like a babysitting kit of some kind where there's like cards and like if they wanted to bring a video game or, you know, board game or something like that that they can share with the kids. Yeah, it's so especially like having younger baby or whatever under the age of 2 or 3 or whatever who might cry when I leave, having a game plan for that so that they have like something to distract them or something like that. Those are main things, like right off the bat, that the first time that they come to my home.
Good initiative.
Yeah.
What would you say is an appropriate level of authority for a babysitter? Like, would you say that they could discipline your kid, or in what way, you know, like how much authority do they have with the child?
I usually talk about that. Usually on the car ride back from picking them up, I kind of give them a rundown of, well, you know, if anything's off limits or whatever. Absolutely never are they allowed to like spank or
I didn't
something
mean that.
like that. No. But some people, like but you never know what the background is of the babysitter, though.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what family structure they're coming from or whatever. So I lay those ground rules out flat out, very like bluntly.
Okay.
And then, you know, it's okay for them to put them in timeout, you know, and then like for every 1 minute for every year old they are. So like if they're 2, then they'll sit for 2 minutes or whatever. And it's okay to like bend down in front of the chair and sit there with them, but never be mean, you know? So kind of giving them like a rundown of what they can do. But really I just tell them, give them rules like stay in the house and just play with them. And usually if they do that, there's not really any problems. But
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between a babysitter who shows up to like just watch the kids, you know, they're like on their phone watching TV, like don't stop fighting, but then they're back to their own thing. Then a babysitter who gets down and interactive and like Cecily is so good with her kids. Instead of like
really good.
the kids are like, let's play monkey, she's the one in the tree climbing, like wow, like being the monkey, and the kids are like, you're awesome.
I'm like, that's a game.
Yeah.
I missed out on that game.
You know, but she like, and she plays car wash with them, and they like, she's just awesome. She like really engages with the children, and rather than supervising.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think that there's a lot of social skills that kids learn from anybody who's watching them, if it's grandma or their parents or whatever. And so when I choose a babysitter, especially like if I'm going to be using a babysitter over a period of time, like for the summer, if I'm going to be working or something and I need a babysitter every single day, I'm going to be really, really picky.
Right.
Because they're going to be teaching them things.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, do they use bad language or do they spend time on the internet? Or, you know, I always check the history of my internet when I get home and make sure that, you know, I mean, and maybe they're smart enough that they clear it or whatever, I don't know, but I usually check things like that just to make sure, like, what they're doing.
That's another interesting
I don't
question.
really have nanny cam. I don't have
Right,
a nanny
that's what I was
cam.
going to say, is how do you
but,
know what goes on? Do you know what goes on?
Fortunately, my oldest is 8.
Okay.
So I can be like, so
And kids
tell
are
me-
honest.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's at that age where he'll just be honest, you know. And I'm like, so tell me about what happened today. Like, did you have fun? Because you can usually tell when you get home, and I'm sure that you guys, you know with your kids, like, if something wasn't right, the kids act weird.
Right.
You know, so I can usually tell if something didn't go right.
Okay.
And I can be like, this is out of place, or you seem on edge, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something is not comfortable here. The baby has a poopy diaper, like, okay, and then I start asking questions.
Okay.
So.
I think it's important too as a babysitter that you realize that like it's not always going to go smoothly.
Right.
Like, so it's okay to be upfront and say, you know what, today Shaytard hit his head and this happened.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
just like
Right.
be able to say how things went even if they didn't go smoothly, because it's not like
They're kids, yeah.
Yeah.
I would
things
rather have
happen.
the babysitter just be straight up and be like, you know what? Gage got way out of line, and I had to put him in timeout 3 times.
Yeah.
Or, you
Right.
know, or Kyle kept on trying to run out the front door. You know, and
Yeah,
I
just
feel
be
like, you know what?
honest.
That's great to know, because now I can put a lock on the door. You know,
Yeah.
so that he can't get out if there's
Right.
a babysitter there.
How do you know if a person is ready to watch your kids? What do you think is like a good age for someone to start babysitting, or what do you look for, like qualities of a babysitter? Is age a really big criterion for you, or?
I definitely think that like 11, 12 is the youngest.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe not for a long period of time at that
Okay.
age.
Yeah.
I think it's more about the persons, because I coached cheerleading, so I had like a team of 16 babysitters all the time. All these
Right.
girls loved
Lucky.
Cooper.
Yeah.
I know, and like they would love, like they would help us watch the kids. But it was funny though; they were all the same age and the same grade, doing the same thing. Interests were the same. It was like the personality of the girls wasn't all the same, and it's,
Yeah.
I think like the background of some of the girls who were maybe more involved in like church groups and groups that supported like family and understanding that they were the girls to show up with the babysitting kids that were prepared and who were more socially outgoing and could talk to you and like they came with a plan, like, okay, what number can I call you if something happens? Like, I remember a couple of babysitters had like a list that I had to fill out, like what allergies are the kids, like what are they allergic
That's
to?
awesome.
And
That's
they
really
had a
awesome.
game
That's
plan,
really
and
awesome.
it's just funny. I think it's more about the personality of the person and kind of where they're at, because you could have 2 14-year-old girls, but one's like way into like
Right.
some things, and one girl's like way into other things, like boys and cell phones and texting, and
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
I know we've had a couple, instances where, we had some girls babysit the kids, and then we get home, we're like, how did things go? And the girls are like, oh, they're great. And they always were just like, fine, everything's always fine. And then after they leave, they're like, well, actually, like the kids will tell me,
Yeah.
well, this happened and this,
Oh,
and like, I don't think that the girls were trying to like hide stuff from me. They felt bad. They didn't want
feel
me to
bad.
know that it didn't really go that well.
Right.
So I think, that's important, even if you're young, to know that it's okay to not be a perfect babysitter.
Yeah, but I do agree that I think honesty is probably the best policy,
Yeah,
especially
for
with
sure.
something as sensitive as children. I mean, that's really
Yeah,
that's a
and
sensitive
especially
thing.
like if the kids are like running out of the house or breaking major rules, like it's really important that we like
Yeah.
address it instead of hiring the babysitter again and then like one of the kids gets hit by a car or something. I mean,
Yeah.
which is really a possibility.
Yeah.
Plus,
You
like,
know?
what does that teach your children? Because then they think they can get away with anything with babysitters.
Right. And so it makes it harder, and it kind of the problem will get worse and worse and worse and worse until something happens, and then all
That's
of a sudden
interesting
someone
when
could
you
get hurt.
Yeah, that's interesting what you just said. Do you think that you've ever had a situation, or have you ever had a situation where you have really enjoyed a babysitter but you realize that your kid just doesn't respect them, or that your kid doesn't do well with them? Has that ever happened to you before?
Yes.
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah.
Well, when Colette watched Cooper, it was maybe awkward, but
Let's get into that. No,
he ended up loving her more than me.
I don't think that's true.
I know.
So I've had a babysitter who the kids I really liked because she was super responsible, and like the house was always clean, the dishes were always done, but like the kids were like, we clean the whole time she's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for a babysitter to realize is that like the kids are with me and Carl all the time, and so when we hire a babysitter, usually they're really excited because they're
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna have a party, we're gonna eat pizza and junk and like watch all the TV we want or whatever, and whether that's true or not, in their mind it's like a break from us. And so if the babysitter comes and then they end up doing chores the whole time,
Yeah,
That's
that
not-
does
That's
kind
a
of
pretty
stink. It's
strict
like,
babysitter. I'm like, wow.
but she did, and she was really, really good, but it just didn't work out because the kids were like,
that's hard.
They-
It's
they
like,
weren't
mom and dad
happy.
go out, but we don't get
Yeah.
to have fun. That
Yeah.
kind of stinks.
so
Yeah.
I'd rather have someone come with like games, and then I have to kind of clean up a little mess. Like I don't want like popcorn smeared in the carpet or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've had that happen.
Yeah.
But just to have fun with the kids and make the experience really good for them, so that because it makes it so that the kids don't want us to leave.
Yeah.
And we need that time away from the kids, and they need the time away from us. So.
Yeah.
You seem to be discussing kids running out of the house a few times. I feel like there maybe was an issue there at some point. Do you have any past experiences? It can be good or bad, but I think people really want to hear the bad Have you ever had like a horror story with a babysitter before, like a bad experience, and how did you handle that?
I've had a couple. One was kind of particularly bad, I guess. I really, really like the girl, and she was just a little bit younger. She was more like around 11. So I knew the risk with it. But our back door from the inside, you could like open it, but it could still be locked on the outside. And so I was like, make sure that if you go outside, either the dog door's open, or you make sure, and because the kids can climb through the dog door and unlock the door, because it was a big dog door. Anyway, so I was like, just be careful if you go outside. Anyway, she got locked out. And the baby was just in a diaper. No one had shoes on. And it was really, like, stressful because we were, like, an hour away. Oh, no. And, so then they went to the neighbor's house, and the neighbor gave them a ride home. And anyway, but the biggest thing the biggest issue I had with that was that our next-door neighbor, who the kids kind of knew at that point but didn't really know, and but she did not know, had never met before. She actually got in the car with him, and he drove them to her house. Oh gosh! So it turned out okay because I know him, and it was okay. But that was the biggest thing for me, was her getting in the car with my kids with a stranger.
So how did you recover from that? How did you move
I
forward?
talked to her about it a little bit, like, because the issue was really like the back door got locked or whatever, but I think I hired her one more time after that, even just thinking, it's not that big of a deal. But I just really felt like she was too young. Yeah. I didn't understand the scope of what could have happened. So I kind of tried to explain it to her, but it was really difficult just because she was so young, and I didn't feel like she grasped the danger of that. Okay. Yeah. So, but, maybe like 3 years from now, I would hire her when she's a little older, because she is really a really good babysitter. But that one situation when I was like, that really showed a sign of immaturity, and I couldn't. That it's a high level of trust to leave your kids with someone. So
definitely.
I don't think I have a horror story myself, but I did something that was probably a horror story.
Oh, you should share that.
Let's hear this.
Oh, I should. Don't judge me off of this. I can't believe I did this. Me and my friends I started this club in our neighborhood called the Kids Club, and kids would come over, and they would have to bring a treat, and we would it was like a club, we'd have a game and a treat and a lesson, and we'd learn something. And so I started this cool neighborhood thing, and it was fun, and kids would show up, and so parents started calling me to babysit. So I was like, I can turn this into a business and make money.
How old are you?
I was sixth grade. I was in sixth grade.
Okay.
So then I started babysitting, and I was getting into makeup and boys and things, and painting nails. And I started doing this crazy thing. I would use my glitter nail polish as eyeshadow sometimes, and I would put it on my eyelids and be like, it burns, but it's worth it, and but then I could wash it with water and peel it off at night. But to me, it wasn't a big deal. Goes on your nails, goes on your eyelids, it's not a big deal. So I went babysitting to this house I had gone to a lot, and they had these beautiful daughters. They all had long, wavy blonde hair, and I think they were 6, 5, and 2 or something. They were pretty close together, and they were the most beautiful girls you've ever seen. Their mom was she was some former model, and their dad was some former athlete. So they were breeders. They bred these beautiful kids. Anyways, I loved the family, and I babysat for them a lot. Well, in my interest of nail polish, one night I was there putting on my sparkly eyeshadow, and the little girls saw me. And they're like, can we do that? I'm like, yeah, of course. It's so fun. I'm like, lay down. I'm like, it burns a little bit, but it doesn't hurt. But to a kid, they're like, why does it burn? So here I am laying them on they're laying down, and I'm painting their eyelids with nail polish. And I remember the little one crying. I'm like, it will go away. Just calm down. It will go. And putting ice cubes.
Such a baby.
Yeah. So I put ice cubes on her eyes, and then it reacted and froze the nail polish, so she couldn't really open her eyes. It hardened it, so she
I cannot believe.
And I'm a smart person. I really am a smart person, and I know how to use cosmetics.
I get it.
So then
that's what we call School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah. So then at the end of the night, little girl eyes were fine. They were just a little red around the corners.
They were just swollen shut.
But to me, it was duh. Of course it's gonna hurt some nail polish, but it's worth it. Little behold, they never called me back to babysit.
This was playgroup. Oh my gosh, you won't believe what Carly did to my 5-year-old.
I know. Right?
She glued her eyelids.
And they were in my ward and my church, and my dad would go to their house on Sundays and talk to them.
Perfect.
And I think they were like, yeah, your daughter's like nice, and nothing bad was said, but they never called me back. So
Right.
I'm assuming they were pissed off
That was a playgroup
about the
conversation.
nail polish.
Oh boy.
We actually had, in this town that I lived in, we had like 7 moms, and we all had babysitting issues because all of our husbands worked like horribly long hours. So we actually created a babysitters club
That's awesome.
where we created, went to Walmart, got like the cardstock business card that's up with the perforated edges or whatever, and I made like 1-hour tickets and half-hour tickets. And then we'd exchange those like money. So like
That's
if
fun.
we had to pay like 1 ticket per kid per hour. So like I had 3 kids, so I'd have to pay 3 tickets per hour to my friend. And then when I needed tickets, I would babysit her kids, and then she'd pay me tickets. And so like I had one friend go 10 days to Hawaii, and the Babysitters Club babysat her kids the entire 10 days.
That's so
And
nice.
she had enough tickets like stockpiled that she just had to have her brother there at night to like, you know, put
Yeah.
the kids to
Right.
bed or whatever.
Smart.
And we all just like earned
Helped each other
tickets.
out.
And she, you know, and we all knew each other for like 5 years before this. All of our kids were the same age and knew each other. It was so perfect.
That's cool.
So we
That's
called
good
it a
system.
babysitter co-op, and it worked really good for like 2 years. We did it, and it was awesome. You know, because that's nice to be able to like, oh, I gotta go grocery shopping. Carl's working, and I do not want to take the 3 kids because it was like an hour to the grocery store where we lived. And so I was like, oh, I'll just call somebody and pay tickets or whatever,
Yeah.
and then I could go shopping or whatever. It freed up time for me to do things I wanted to do.
The ideal situation is to have a babysitter that you know people, know
Yeah.
family members or friends of family, whatever. But what do you do if you don't really know anybody in the town? How do you go about finding a babysitter?
I think one really good resource actually is going to teachers, because you
Yeah.
can go and find, I mean, if you find some teachers who know a bunch of high school students, they can tell you,
yeah,
you know,
that's
who's
true.
really good, who's a good student, who's responsible, that kind of thing. Maybe they even have kids that they've watched. I know that my mom is a teacher, and she's definitely helped people out with that before, so that's a good
Awesome.
resource.
That's a good idea. Plus, the teacher will know like stay-at-home moms maybe
Exactly.
that like they trust, or
That's
that's
true.
still just a scary thing.
I think
That
too,
is-
if your kids are going to like school age, talk to their friends and maybe their
Yeah.
the parents of the friends and ask them like who they trust and who they've used a lot. It's really hard.
Yeah, that one's a hard
you're
one
just leaving-
because
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, okay, don't
I
let
know.
anyone
I've always
die.
been so lucky to
You
have
know?
a family.
Sometimes you leave and feel like that, like,
Yeah.
please, just
No.
let this work.
No, I
Please.
polish on the eyelids.
I don't know.
I don't know, that's hard. Or church groups.
Yeah.
You know, that's something I've used before is, that hasn't always worked, but.
Or the people at Walmart that are holding signs that need money
Yeah.
for food.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
they can babysit. That's probably not a good idea.
No, but I agree. I think probably word of mouth is one of the easiest ways. If you just talk to other moms, if you get to
Yeah.
know some people in your community, word of mouth is definitely really good for things like that. You can get
I think that's
honest
good.
experiences. All right, ladies, well, thank you very much. I think that was some good advice. And now we have a question for Facebook for the giveaway. Carly, would you like to share that with us?
Dun, dun, dun! Yes, we have a question. We want you to answer what is the best activity or a game, something, the best thing that you've done when you were babysitting, or if a babysitter has done with you, that we can maybe give advice for our babysitters or our nanny to help with our children. And the most thumbs up for the best idea wins a present.
Yes.
A
A
present.
present! Something
Audio
amazing.
so excited.
Something that we're hiding. Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna leave the comment.
I
I know.
I have a babysitting story.
This is the giveaway prize. So you guys get some really cool hair accessories. This is amazing.
Good Paul Mitchell hairspray, some headbands, and a curling iron.
That's
Lovely.
awesome.
Is this one of those wrap around? I think
Yeah,
it's one of
it's a
those wrap
wand.
around. That's awesome.
Very cool.
With a heat protective glove.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you don't burn. Yeah, I've done that for
Your
my
fingertips.
Fancy.
Yeah. So if you would like to win this gift set, go to Facebook and answer that question Carly just talked about. And we want to thank Alli for being our guest host today. She was such a good sport to be here with us.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. And thank you again to Ginger for being here with us
Thank you.
today. It was lovely.
And don't forget to leave questions, comments, things you'd like to see on future episodes. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.